Space from the Deep, episode 24. Switching back to the regular mic. We are live. I think we're recording. Looks like we're recording. Welcome, everybody. Jake, Rain, the Berts, the legendary Berts themselves. Get a quick mic check. How you doing, Jake?
Mic check, GM. I'm doing well. Yourself? Happy Friday.
You're sounding good. You're sounding better, actually. So I think
I got you on speaker. I think it's better than the headset. So again, until I can move and reset up an office and have an actual studio mic, this is probably as close as I can get.
Sounds good. No, honestly, this sounds great. It sounds great. The Bose mic that you were using, I think, was clipping a little bit. This sounds nice and smooth. So
right on.
Technically improved. Rain, my man, my brother from another Bert. How we doing?
What up, man? Happy Friday. I'm excited. I'm excited today, man. My wifey, weather's getting a little bit better, so we're gonna try something new today. She went and got a kit. We're gonna play some pickleball in the afternoon. So yeah, excited to see what the hype's all about. And I'm pumped up because it's I got a really bad knee from like college sports and stuff. So excited to do a sport where I don't have to sprint. I think it'll be quite enjoyable, so I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, besides that, man, pumped to be here. Space from the Deep, episode 24, back at it again.
From the Deep, episode 20. Bro, make sure you stretch. I've pulled a hamstring playing pickleball before. That's not even a lie. I also have pretty weak hamstrings because I played soccer for so long. But it's an intense, it's a underestimated intense sport. Because if you played college athletics, Rain, you go hard no matter what the sport is. If you're playing ultimate frisbee, you're gonna fully send. If you're playing pickleball, you're gonna fully send. So take care of that knee and go hard. We believe in you.
Yeah, I'll give a recap. I'll give a recap to Discord. Let people.
I want to see it. I want to see some highlights. I want to see a highlight reel of Rain diving on the pickleball court.
All right, I'll record it. Record it. Man, I'm a sneaky athlete, man. I'll say it, man. I got some juice. I definitely got some juice.
You played football?
I'll record. Yeah. I played football. I played football my whole life. Soccer too. Until college, and then basketball too. So yeah, big sports guy.
Did everything. He did everything, bro. College athletics is really fun. I did like 3 years, and then I basically dropped out of soccer in college. But it was a really good time. You're in the best shape of your life, that's for sure. And it's pretty intense. You feel like a professional athlete in some ways. You're like, this is maybe the closest I'll ever get to feeling that. But it does feel pretty great. And then, you become gym class hero after that. I look for any opportunity to play soccer down here. You got to jump in the local games, and then everyone kind of looks at you funny, like, you sure you want to do this? And then, you thank yourself, but it's,
I was going to say, man, where you're at, the competition and soccer's got to be pretty fierce. Intense, man. Yeah.
Fierce. Like you can't just walk in unless you've played before. Like there's no so basically like all the towns here have these basically like little common areas, and most of those common areas, they're like the town square, they all have fields. Every single one has a field. And normally there's going to be a pickup game there almost every day, but on the weekends there's usually a crowd, and it's kind of just like it's a happenstance thing. Like nothing is scheduled, nothing is planned. It just kind of happens and people start to gather around. It's pretty common. So if you jump into one of those games, it's kind of like, it brings you back. It's like, okay, there's a lot of people watching me, kind of wanting me to fall right now. Just see.
That's awesome.
If I can keep up with everybody. But it's just kind of like breaking the mold, breaking the ice, putting yourself out there, having no fear, no ego, and you just go in and just do the best you can. But I got like dad legs now because I'm trying my best to stay in shape, but it gets tough with the little birds. It does.
Dude, it's funny too. And I don't know everyone's age here, but like I'll definitely say like when you go like from obviously like I'll even say like your early 20s, right? And you start to hit your late 20s, even just that transition, like it'll happen. You'll know, like if but basically like you'll try to do something that like, you could have easily done back then. And then like, yeah, you pull a hammy or like your knee gives out or you cramp or something and you're just like, wait, what the hell? Like wait, hold on. I can't do this anymore. And you start to, because I used to always wonder. So I would always play pickup hoops. That was my best exercise. Loved it. But there's the term like the YMCA dads. There's always like some 40-year-old, 50-year-old guy at the YMCA with like double knee braces and he's a great shooter. He doesn't move a lot, but he plays really fundamentally. He plays real fundamentally. And when you're younger, you're like, man, why does this guy just like move more? Like he's really good. He moves a lot. But as you get older, you understand. Like you have to like kind of shift how you play the game and do things athletically because you start to realize your body, you're not invincible, right? Like that young invincibility factor of people, it goes away. You realize, oh shit, I can't run faster than the speed of light, and stop on a dime without my whole body, and momentum breaking all my bones and tearing my muscles. So I've kind of been in this funny story, actually. Bert, you want to start with a funny story? We can start with a funny story. Okay.
No, yeah, go for the funny story. I'm just thinking about like disintegrating in place, getting hurt. It resonates.
Yeah, no, you guys are gonna love this. So, and it's kind of about me, but it's also about my best friend. So, like, when I was, just to give a little background here, when I was playing college ball, it was insane, right? Like, Bert knows, he was talking about it too. But like, if you don't know, in like college sports, they like, it's like a job. Like you're working out twice a day with like heavy weights, you're watching film, you're on the field or the court, whatever the sport is, and you're practicing. Like it's just, and you have just like an infinite supply of like the best food and maximizing protein intake and protein shakes and all this stuff. And when I played, we had personal trainers, dietitians, nutritionists. So like they'd look at your body, right? They'd look at your total mass, your BMI, all that shit, and be like, hey, after you do this heavy weight, you need to immediately chug this protein shake. Here you go. And then you need to make sure you get like 400 grams of protein in the calf, have like 8 hard-boiled eggs and, whatever the hell, a giant handful of bacon, right? Crazy stuff. And so, like I was definitely like in the best shape of my life and I was like shredded. I was, and just to give a little comparison, like back then, because I played defense end and like a flex tight end slot receiver. So I was, a big guy, like 6'2", 220 of just pure fucking muscle, just a tank, right? A tank, but I was very athletic and nimble. And so, fast forward about 6 years out of the game, right? I'm with my boy and he's like, man, let's go hoop with the Y. I'm like, all right, man, let's go hoop. And he was kind of in the similar area as me, physique wise. And, remember this is 6 years down the line. So we're a bit older. We've put on a couple pounds, and we're not working out like, madmen every single day. And we go to the YMCA and we're playing, if you don't know, pick up basketball, right? So how it works is, 5-on-5, whoever just gets in the court gets in the court. If you win, you get to keep going. So we play one game, we dominate, but we're exhausted. We don't have the stamina we used to have whatsoever. Like body's starting to give out a bit. Lungs are burning. Your legs are kind of shaking. You go to jump and you land. It doesn't feel like the best when you do it. And so my boy at the YMCA, he used to be able to dunk. He basically, I'm at the top of the key. I feed him down low and he turns around and tries to dunk. And he gets rim stuffed. So if you don't know what that means, it's like he tries to dunk and the basketball just hits the rim and he falls, lands on his leg, tears his ACL at the fucking YMCA.
No.
Age of like 28. Yes, bro.
Oh
like
my
you
God.
hear the pop. Nobody knows what to do. This like the janitor comes by. He's like this older black guy. And he's like, man, you need some help, buddy. You shouldn't be doing that. You're too old to be doing that, son. Gets him like an ice pack and they put him in a wheelchair, cart him out. And it's just the shame you feel as an athlete getting carted out of the YMCA in a fucking wheelchair, out of this fucking world. Everybody, all the old people that are like 70 and 80 doing their things are kind of just staring at you, smiling, laughing, like, yep, been there before. Should have known your own body. Get them out of there, man. And, you know, from that moment when that happened, I'm not gonna lie, I've like, it's gonna sound bad and very not like me, but I've kind of lived in fear physically. Like I will not push myself.
Fair.
I will not do it because I am petrified of, because, you know, you think about it now, right? Like, fuck, dude, I tear my ACL now, like, I'm fucked. Like, that's gonna take forever. And like, oh, I gotta pay for the healthcare now. College is gonna pay for that. You know, I gotta pay for the PT, you know, the physical therapy afterwards. I gotta pay for all the medicine. If you don't know healthcare in the United States, not the best shit in the world. I'll just put that out there.
Nope.
So yeah, I've been financial fear, physical fear of all that. And it's not like I don't have money or anything like that, but it's fucking scary, man. I'm terrified to like break a bone, tear something. So like I never go 100%. I'm like a solid, I think 40% in sports now is like my mental limitation. So yeah, for any young bucks out there, you know, enjoy it while you can. Enjoy it while you can. Don't be my boy at the YMCA.
Bro, you know what's crazy? I tore my MCL when I was 28, and it was actually playing soccer in the city. The way that like pickup soccer happens in the city is a lot of the games are really, really late at night because everyone's working. So we have games at like 11 p.m. or like sometimes even at midnight. So you're showing up and you're like super fucking tired and like, you know, you're going still 100% because you think that you're still in college. And I was 28, and I remember getting the worst MCL tear, like a grade 3 tear on my MCL. And I played soccer my entire life through travel, through club, through college. And it, you know, then I graduated, I moved to the city, and I started playing pickup with a bunch of like, kind of like middle-aged people who are all pissed off. And like, they're just looking to, you know, just torture people. And this one guy he just took me hit me from the side and just tore my MCL, just ripped it. And I was like, whoa, like, so that after that happened, like, I honestly, again, I'm not trying to make anyone feel scared to play sports, but I just remember that like shit was a little different after that. I just remember like getting that injury, and I was like, I've never been injured like this before. I was like on crutches for a little bit, and like usually you just like bounce back really fast, but this was like a real tear. So it does kind of take you aback a little bit, and then you kind of have that thing in your head. But I think what did it though is I started playing a lot of beach soccer, and when you play beach soccer, your knees and your ligaments and knees get really, really strong. So, you know, any of my guys who like live down in like South America or like anywhere in the world where you're playing beach soccer, it's why the Brazilians are so darn good. They just, you know, they're playing on the beach all the time. So their knees, like they've got really good agility. They can turn on a dime. Their ball skills are really good because they're working in such crazy kind of dynamic environments in the sand. Like, you know, I started doing that again, and it started to like kind of bring me back. But no, I'm totally with you. Best of luck in the pickleball game.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, go back to the pickleball game. You
just watch those knees, bro.
Yep, you'll get a highlight 40% rain highlight tape inbound.
40%. Hey, you know what? 40% is probably a lot of people's 100%. So, you know,
true.
No one needs to know other than us, other than the Berts in this room, that maybe 40% is your 40%, because that could be full max out for a lot of people. But I just wanted to shout a couple people out now that we're kind of fully into Space from the Deep. Strive, I haven't seen you in a little bit. Welcome, Strive. You had a great submission for the Burt today. HG, see the Journey Bound account down there. Russ, what's up? Bambi, Mint Boko, Des, as always, the incognito Burt in the headphones at work. We won't tell on you. We swear. We won't out you, narc on you. Mr. Autocrat, probably like the legend himself, Mr. Autocrat. See you everywhere, always in the shadows. I think I saw Addy in here as well, the Shadow Burt himself. Welcome, everybody. Space from the Deep, episode 24. And I mentioned that this is the last audio-only episode that we're going to be doing. Next week, officially, we're going to be starting our live stream for Space from the Deep. You're going to be seeing my crazy face, maybe a fun background, maybe some fun transitions, fun video content, things that we're going to be using to kick off the first episode of Space from the Deep live stream edition. I'm still going to call it episode 25. I think that big numbers are fun. I want to keep the count going, but this is the natural evolution of Space from the Deep, going to the live stream. We're getting it all set up. It's going to be a blast, but this officially marks our last week, our last audio only week, dispensing of the X ridiculousness that we have to experience every single week. I don't even know if you guys hear the music in the beginning of the video, in the beginning of the shows anymore, but we're going to be using Streamlabs and OBS, and that's all Rain has been helping on the technical level to get all that stuff set up, and it's just so much better. So we're psyched to get everyone in there and show everybody what we've been working on just for this show too. Obviously, we're doing everything else that we normally do in the ECU and for everything that we're doing with Who is Ebert, but it's fun to kind of have these activations like Space from the Deep and like Birdathon that should and could evolve along with everything else that we're doing too. I think that that's a really important thing, to have kind of this well-rounded ecosystem of content that we, offer to our community and to the public, so people can really see that, oh, they're building in all different sorts of ways. And I think that we very lightly mentioned some of the things that you can expect with the live. But just to kind of remind you, the list that I rattled off on Muonic Monday this week was, here are some of the things that you might see live behind the scenes. Actually me screen sharing or bringing on some of the animators and artists that we've worked with who have all expressed interest in being on the show, to actually kind of walk through maybe some of the creative process for some of these earliest versions of Ebert. So we have Mikhail from Umeshu, who said that he would be willing to come on and talk about, hey, what does the modeling process look like? So if you've ever really wanted to see from the artist himself, the person who helped us bring Ebert from 2D to 3D, to kind of see his perspective and to really understand where his mind goes when he talks to a director like myself, that would be a great episode to tune into. So live behind the scenes, and also kind of a hybrid with special guests, sneak peeks. This is something that we can't do with X Spaces on audio only. I can do a little bit of it just with audio, but when you have a sneak peek of something that you've been wanting to see for a long time, we can do those specifically and exclusively on the live stream Space from the Deep. So that's a big one. The other one is just bringing more guests on. We have people who, especially from my world, who are more familiar with going onto a show or a podcast online remotely and it being video focused. So I can bring some people in from the world that I come from, whether it's, a big level producer or someone who's making films in their own world, or from production companies, or maybe I'll get the guys from Alara on. Like, you just, people who bring their own perspectives in that may not be even, really wired into the Web3 world, could be a really refreshing thing for us to hear about. So that's another one. The Birdathon can also evolve into our live stream. We always announce our winners for the Birdathon on Space from the Deep, like we always do. Toward the end of the episode, we announce our Birdathon winners. Here, we can actually maybe evolve the Birdathon too and do some video-focused Birdathon stuff. We could do some live reads like we would normally do. I can prepare some video stuff for the Birdathon contestants. So there's all different sorts of options there. And then the last one, probably the most important one, is just better music quality. That's it. Just better music quality. You can actually hear the music that I'm playing. I think probably too much about the music that I queue up for the beginning and the ends of the episodes for Space from the Deep. So better music quality is a big one. Ebert is all about sound. We want to make sure that we're offering and giving the highest quality sound that we can all the time. So that's a big one. One of the other special perks that you get when you come into the Space from the Deep live streams. On top of that, and then I'm going to pass it off to the guys, is that if you've kind of seen, we've started to really build YouTube and some of our stuff going up onto YouTube Shorts, directly taken from our Space from the Deep episodes. So as we do the lives and things like that, those live behind the scenes can be clipped into small little videos, bite-sized pieces that our community can start to kind of, consume and share around and show people really what we're working on. To us, it feels like a double win, right? Like, we, more often than not, production companies are going to be making that stuff behind the scenes anyway. So for us to now do it live, we, are adding into our show. It feels like it's kind of a win in all aspects. And a lot of that stuff is going to be finding our YouTube channel. So if you guys haven't gone onto YouTube, hit us up, subscribe, check out some of the stuff that we have up on YouTube. Mostly been posting shorts, but then also all of the full episodes of Space from the Deep are on there too. But again, we're going to be posting more featurettes clips from our live episodes and things like that. So a big list of updates, a big lists of things that we have to look forward to. We've been working on making the show feel polished, making it feel professional, making it feel real, because when we make this leap, we really want, especially people in base and people in the Web3 community, to know that we are doing things the right way, and we are building things from the ground up, and we want to make them feel professional and real and considered and all of that good stuff, just like we always do with everything that we work on. So we're stoked, and it should be a really fun jump. I'm not going to be the perfect host, I would say, right out of the gate. I'm really used to the audio thing, but I'm practicing, and I'm getting used to kind of, switching between screens and all that fun shit, because Rain gave me a bit of a crash course, because this was his world. So it's gonna be a good time. So Jake, I know you're stoked for the live Space in the Deeps as well, because there's all different sorts of things we can start to share.
Oh man, yeah, I'm really stoked for it. It's going to be rad. I mean, not just in terms of, let's say, a media sharing outlet, but also a more intimate experience, right? With bringing in animators, talking, kind of like have you watch a trailer for a film. That's kind of how I view it. Or interviews with some of the characters after the movie. Well, now you can have interview with the producers, directors, animators, graphic artists before the series even goes live on what goes into it. But I think there's also the potentiality for some really rad tech integrations. I know I mentioned one to you guys, what we possibly could do, for the interim, at least for me, I'm putting, on video. But there also could be other tech applications within, a live stream, and really where the show can morph into. I mean, it's turning into a legit, like podcast, yes, but I don't know, podcast plus, whatever word is for that. But it's not typical podcast, right? Where we actually take you behind the scenes and include you on the journey of our build. But also you get to actually meet and greet us, right? That is probably my number one fear of Hollywood, where, heaven forbid, God forbid, you try to talk to a director or an actor directly without going through all of these damn hoops and nonsense. Well, here you got it. Right. So also, I think it's a good conduit of who we are as a brand. By having a more inclusive community, which is the exact fear of, I would say, most hyper-capitalistic economies. Hell, you can't even email most companies anymore, right? If you have a problem or customer service or anything, God forbid you put an email address or a phone number at the footer of your website and have people that you can't contact you. But now we're like, hey, we're here. We can't answer every question, but we're here and available. And hey, check this out. This is what we're actually doing now. So I'm really stoked about it. Rain, I think it's a fantastic idea to bring this to fruition and to light. The music, it's going to be, popping. I've not had too many issues on the audio side, but every now and then I can see where Twitter and X kind of phases out. But anyways, the excitement is very real, and where we're pushing, we're moving onwards and upwards.
We're moving. Sometimes I listen back, and X will have rugged the music, and I can like hear myself breathing. I just listen. I'm like, I just hear myself breathing in the beginning, just listening to the music on my own, and then everyone's just listening to me breathing. So I'm excited for that not to be a factor.
I mean, in a horror film, that'd be nice, right?
Here's just a minute of Eric breathing. Here's just a minute of me breathing, just to open up the episode, make it really tense. Just make everyone feel really uncomfortable.
That'll set the stage exactly where we want to. Very child friendly as well. Very deep breathing, just mean and snarls. That's exactly what we want.
You're right, though. I think that when it comes to the things that we want to share, not only do production companies not do this and kind of like have this live interfacing with the team themselves. It's always like the cooks are behind the curtain. We'll make a video and you can consume it, as opposed to like, hey, it makes a lot of sense for us to bring, the people that we're working with on and to bring them on and for them to really share, you need to have some sort of screen share or some sort of like a live video or something that they can actually show. Because otherwise, if they just come on and talk, it doesn't make sense. We're in a visual world. Like we're creating a visual, universe here. So it needs to kind of go hand in hand with the conversation, especially if we're talking about the development and the production of Who is eBird as well. Like it feels like it has to happen. So that part, I'm just, I'm actually surprised we went this long just on audio. But I think that all things kind of have led up to a really good point where, now we're going to be on episode 25, so at this rate, it's like, hey, we're 25 episodes in, like, do you want to come on? It gives us some leverage. And I think that people see that and they're like, oh yeah, they've got this down. Like, they've got this down to a science. So let me get on there. Let me hop in there and see what it's all about. And I just think that we, like Jake was saying, like, we really are breaking down that wall a little bit, and starting to kind of bring people into the world of what we're doing while we're doing it. And that's, one of the novel approaches to actually building a character franchise in Web3 is that people are really seeing it happen in real time. And we do our best to keep everyone notified as to what's happening in real time. But that is a task in and of itself. So these weekly shows, I think, are really great opportunities to just not only be like really good project updates, but also to dive into a world that a lot of our investors have found interest in. And another one, just like an anecdote, for example, like we stayed in a hotel this week for something, and I was going back and forth with our animator, and he needed to, and I can still share this, by the way, but this is a good example of something you would see on a live. I needed to basically film myself doing the actions that we needed Ebert to do. And that's a common thing. You kind of act it out yourself in person and film yourself doing it. And you send it to the animator and say, hey, this is kind of the timing and this is what I'm looking for. So I'm in a hotel lobby, basically, people walking by, everyone is just kind of crowded. And I just start acting out what Ebert is supposed to be doing. And I look like an absolute lunatic. But that's like, sharing stuff like that, it would be a really fun little behind the scenes nugget to just kind of throw into the mix and be like, hey, by the way, I made a lot of people feel uncomfortable in a hotel lobby this past week. What did you guys do? And just, it really does open up the doors for, so many things that I have wished to be able to share as we've gone along on these weekly episodes. But, it really does open up that possibility. So yeah, I'll still share that. I got to find that video, but there's a couple of them floating around. But that is, that's always a fun task, acting things out in public and not just giving a fuck about what anyone thinks about you. You just kind of have to do it. But against all odds, no matter the circumstances, you just, if you have to get it done, you have to get it done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I want to see that 1,000%. So
I'll send it to you.
I mean, please share that. So I want to see people just lose their minds, have their minds melt. And it's also difficult to describe, right? I mean, maybe that's a good question of how do you describe Ebert, right, to the world? Because the enigma is very much the brand. So the more enigmatic in a way that you can make the expression of how you describe the peculiarities of Ebert is probably closer to describing it in a more truthful manner. Right. So it's interesting. It's in a way, it's a paradox. Yes, we can talk about Web3 and token franchise and how we're decentralizing a film franchise production studio with Ebert. Yeah, we got that. Cool. What's Ebert, though? Right. We know he's an alien. We think he's an alien. We don't know where he came from. And best of luck, right? As he fumbles his way into this reality while experiencing all realities in one particular moment. How are you going to describe that in whatever language that you know without having someone's mind melt? Isn't that the point? Right?
Exactly.
So I like it.
No, exactly. And I think that like everyone's interpretation of him is different. And I think that in order to even describe it, like you have to show, like you really do have to show, like, if you guys haven't had a chance yet, actually, I wanted to bring this up. Go into our Discord general chat and scroll up and read Rain's screenplay for Ebert Meets the Streets. And you get a lens from someone who's interpreting Ebert, and basically the way that he describes Ebert is really fascinating because I've always kind of seen Ebert a specific way. And Rain definitely it's like he understands who Ebert is, and nobody even knows who Ebert is. And it's just, you spend enough time kind of understanding the character and the mystery behind it, and you can kind of like create your own perspective about it. And that's, I think, like one of the brilliant parts of just kind of opening the door up to people sharing their creativity. So that's like those types of things too. Like, we can share that stuff live. And we did that on that episode, but even just kind of having it up on the screen and showing people what, you know, what these gifts are that our community has offered. It's just going to be awesome. But wanted to bring that up. I think it's a really, you know, we're excited. Next Friday, episode 25, that's the goal. So you guys can expect that we'll be streaming. Nothing changes. You'll still access the show via X, but you can also access it. We'll be streaming it to YouTube as well. And then all of our co-hosts and people will be, I believe, will be streaming it from their X profiles as well. So you will be able to find the show regardless. That ring on our PFP on X will light up red, and it's just the same thing. You just click on it, you join in, and you'll be able to watch the stream live on X. So no extra lift, no extra steps for the community. Just trying to make it easy and seamlessly transition to this next step. So we're excited. We'll keep you guys updated next week as we go along. But I wanted to bring up that, you know, our birdathon was live this morning. I've been trying to keep the themes of the birdathons definitely more cinema specific. And I, you know, a lot of the clips that you've seen, like if you saw that clip that we dropped on YouTube this morning, I'll post that up on X and pin it to our Jumbotron in a second. But a lot of these things are becoming more cinema specific. So some of the conversations we have in relation to everything and kind of the universe and a lot of the things that we talk about on Space from the Deep have been about movies. So the birdathon this morning was about basically what if the Earth, I love this idea, but what if the Earth all along, since the very beginning of Earth, was a terrarium / set that some sort of a higher dimensional or extraterrestrial civilization set up to document the entire thing. And the entire thing was a movie in and of itself. The question was, what would the movie be called? And what's the plot of the movie that they're making? So we got some pretty crazy guesses, some long submissions too. Very, very well thought out submissions. I am calling a couple of you Berts out. You know who you are. NTW Nerdy as always. Nicole Sam, good submissions from you. Strive as always. He broke his answer into multiple seasons. So again, these birdathons are always the best. Des, your submission was absolute class as always. So I think that Rain, what do you think about this? A live birdathon answer from you. If the Earth was just a film set this entire time, what's the movie really about?
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah, I saw this birdathon. The reason I didn't submit was because I found myself going just kind of going down a million different rabbit holes, which is really cool about this, right? Like you can basically do whatever you want and say whatever you want, however you want. You know, it's up to you to truly depict it. So kind of what came up to me in my mind for this truly that I enjoyed the most was there is and I showed you this. So there's this audiobook I've been listening to heavily, and I'm more of a reader, but recently I got like some Audible subscription. Audible's like Amazon's audiobook thing. And 10 out of 10 recommend. It is absolutely incredible. But it's called Dungeon Crawler Carl. All right. And I'll explain how this obviously, you guys know Rain stories go a little long. Yeah. Just bear with me. Okay. So
they're the best. Don't mind the length. We love the stories. Never mind the length.
Thank you. In this one, what's crazy is so like basically, and I'm praying for this to become a movie, by the way. I'm just going to put that out there. But what happens is there's like this whole massive government in the universe of all these different systems, all these different planets, all these different beings and aliens, whatever the hell. It's just like the trillions and trillions of different types of shit. And basically, once like every 10 years, they choose a planet, right? So they see a planet, and they basically destroy the planet. Before they destroy the planet, they give everyone an opportunity to enter basically these portals throughout the world. And when you enter a portal, you basically get zapped away into their dungeon. So like think of like a Dungeons & Dragons type run. And so there's different floors and stages, etc. But it's basically like they take you out, they put you in this dungeon, and then they broadcast it like a giant TV show series where then all of humanity basically is fighting for its life against all these aliens, these monsters. There's all sorts of crazy shit. So that's kind of where my mind jumped to with it a bit. I love the creativity aspect of it. If you haven't checked out the books, the audiobook, check it out. It's called Dungeon Crawler Carl. And then another recommendation too, that I was kind of thinking about as well is this YouTube channel I stumbled across, and it's called Dr. Plants. 10 out of 10 recommend. If you're fascinated with science and or nature at all, check it out. It's incredible. Basically, this guy builds these terrariums in his house, and it's like super high quality 4K HD, but then he simulates different ecosystems. So like the one I watched was 100 days of a desert ecosystem. So like he introduces like these ants into the ecosystem and like sees like how they're evolving and adapting. And he's like, they need food. So then he adds these like sand beetles, but now the ants are taking over. So then he introduces a predator, to the ants that comes in, which is like these like sand jumping spiders, and they start eating the ants. Now they start taking over. So then he introduces another predator, but then he simulates like, a giant desert storm where there's like a shit ton of, air and shit's flying everywhere. So like you see all the bugs, and the creatures in there, they all basically adapt. And it's just fascinating. It's super, super fucking fascinating. So check it out. Dr. Plants on YouTube, 10 out of 10 recommend 1,000%. And then the other one, Dungeon Crawler Carl, two things that will really kind of pick your mind and give you perspective on, the world that we live in. I'll say this, I don't think we're alone in the world. I think it's been confirmed. We're not alone, multiple times. You're entitled to your own opinion, whatever you think, whatever. But I personally believe that, they're probably, motherfuckers are probably watching us. And my hope is that it's at least some type of comedy, like if we're all going to die or whatever the fuck, I hope it's funny. I hope I get a good laugh at the end of it. So those are my thoughts. Shout out to all the birds that submitted, man. It's a great topic discussion. I wish we had more movies like this that were in development. Because I really think creativity has no limitations, with this kind of perspective.
Dude, I just subscribed to Dr. Plants. That's fascinating. So just so you guys know, and see, this is a perfect opportunity to freaking screen share. It's a perfect opportunity. But Dr. Plants, 3.4 million subscribers, and he has 13 videos. What does that tell you? That tells you that those videos are fire. Every single one of them. So that is a bingeable channel right there. 100%.
I'd say like the quality too. Like when you watch one, Bert, like the quality, I'd say it right. Like it's like a Nat Geo, bro. Like a Nat Geo fucking documentary.
Yeah.
Like
it's all 4K.
So
like,
good,
look, simulating a forest for 100 days, 40 million views. What I'm thinking about when I look at this as well, Rain, which is super, super. Okay. So what if this is the microcosm of the macrocosm, right? Like I look at this and I'm like, okay, if this guy, you just take it one step further, right? This guy is simulating these terrariums, these ecosystems, these environments that, bump it a step up. What's like a highly advanced civilization simulating an Earth environment look like, and then capturing it and documenting it somehow. Like it's not like it's based on like the shit that we've been told. It's almost easier to believe the former. It's like, it's almost like, well, no, it actually kind of makes more sense that like this is, that research and observation is maybe a big part of the evolution of a planet. And why wouldn't you want to witness that over billions of years? Like, why wouldn't you? And I think that when you have these really like content creators now, like there's a fascination with how things evolve over time. You can see it. Look at the millions, the hundreds of millions of plays on this channel. There is a fascination with how things evolve. And I don't think that curiosity is bound to the human beings who inhabit this planet. I think that that's a universal curiosity. And I think that that's like when we characterize Ebert, we say that he's just cosmically curious. Like he's just curious about human life. He's curious about the earth. He's the observer. He's the watcher, and I think that a lot of people's submissions today, some of them obviously I know are ChatGPT, and it's okay. I don't hate on ChatGPT because ChatGPT is really fun to use. But a lot of what ChatGPT mentioned was the watchers or the architects, or kind of these grand designers who are kind of formulating the framework for what human life is, and kind of watching human life be extrapolated over an environment where we have, quote, free will. And then understanding and maybe observing what that process looks like over many, many, many millions of years. If you're not bound by time, if you're not bound by space, or if you have access, or you can create your own gravitational field, for example, which many of the things that we've learned about seem to be able to do, you can observe, you could go back, and, linear time becomes kind of the timeline you're able to scroll around within to observe different parts of humanity's evolution. This channel is such an interesting way of looking at that. Like maybe the way that I kind of looked at it is, what if like this planet's existence really was like a giant episode of Planet Earth? Like if you guys have ever seen the BBC show, like what if it's just a giant episode of Planet Earth? I think that I'm a total cinephile, but I've always been so drawn to those shows because it gives you this this look into how things really work, and how things exist here, when those things don't necessarily know that we're watching, and I think that we've gotten to a place where we're filming animals in the wild that don't know that we're watching them. And what if it's the very same with us? Like it really does kind of make sense. I reference the Kotze trilogy all the time. It's one of my favorite movies. It's probably, if not like in my top 3 of all time, it's way up there. And the Koyaanisqatsi movie, if anyone has ever seen it, it's from the 70s. It feels like if you were an extraterrestrial race of human, or I don't know, transhuman, or some, I don't know, anything. It kind of feels like what it would be like to observe humans, and watch that movie. There are no words in it, right? It's just images and music. And I think that what that does is kind of helps us get to that place where it's like, oh, like this is what humans are. So I think the Birdathon was an interesting one. It gets the gears turning. The audio play thing that Rain also mentioned is really, really cool. It gets our gears turning also about what other things that we can do for eBird. There's so much that we want to do. But that's also a really good drop. Jake, what did you think about the movie concept? This kind of like ever expanding film of an evolution of human life on Earth that may or may not be documented by something or someone else. What do you think?
My mind went right into the Simon Pegg movie. And again, I keep spacing on film names on a cinematic show. I need to get better at that. So you guys know what I'm talking about. The Simon Pegg movie came out maybe about 7-8 years ago, relatively new-ish comedy. And it's about these aliens that are monitoring Earth. They want to destroy it, but rather they're playing a bet. You guys, know what I'm talking about? They play a bet on their spaceship watching Earth, and they give the power of essentially God. And you can do anything to one human on Earth, and they want to observe what that human would do and whether or not this species is a threat to all galactic civilizations. And so they monitor and watch what Simon Pegg is doing, bumbling his way through the world. And it's absolutely hilarious. They got John Hamm to play in this thing too. I'm pretty sure. You guys know what I'm talking about?
I just looked it up. Yeah, I looked it up. It's called Absolutely Anything.
Absolutely Anything. Yeah. Okay.
I haven't seen it, but this is right up my alley. I love this actor. This guy's fucking hilarious.
Jake's
me and you both. Have you seen this, Ebert?
No.
Oh, okay.
I love Hot Fuzz too. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Hot Fuzz.
Hot Fuzz is what put Simon Pegg on the map for me, man. Are you kidding? Hot Fuzz is my jam.
Is he Shaun of the Dead too?
Yeah. Shaun of the Dead. Yep.
Oh my God. Yeah. This guy's him. Just go watch all his films. If you don't know who this guy is, you'll have a great fucking night.
Happy weekend, everybody. Happy weekend.
Happy freaking weekend. Yeah, watch anything Simon Pegg. You're gonna be in a great time. Play some pickleball. Watch Simon Pegg. You're gonna have a great weekend. So in Absolutely Anything is where my mind went into with the Birdathon. And then my mind immediately went to, well, we have probably the most horrendous political arena in the entire, I don't know, it's easy to say the entire world, but what we don't know is are other species botching it up worse than this. It's pretty hard to botch up our healthcare in the entire world, right? More than what we've already have done. So I can't imagine, like I would see even a planet full of like primordial bacteria trying to figure it out, and multicellular organisms or apes or, any organism trying to figure it out, and they'd probably look at us and say, "Wow, you guys really took a step backwards in time, did you?" Right? I mean, we're still carving with rocks, but damn. So, and what would they be looking at and seeing and monitoring and measuring, and also where that information would go is my next question in the birdathon. Is okay, now you've collected the information. And not just what do you do with it, what do you make with it? And if we're going to use integrated information theory, which is one of the, handful, and I mean handful, there are less than 5 theories that mathematically harmonize quantum mechanics with general relativity. Integrated information theory is one of those in that 5 list. It's wonderful. It's baffling and wonderful. It's also paradoxical. Highly recommend it. It's essentially we took physics outside of the mathematicians' hands and put it into neuroscientists' hands. And what they came back with was just truly wonderful, and how consciousness could be that bridge of that gap between quantum mechanics and relativity. So what do these aliens do with that information now? Now they have it. They've been watching us, witnessing us. What do they do with it now? Because if they're going to make something with it, they very well could hypothetically produce more information than what this universe is capable of holding. And if they do that, would they then coalesce, acquiesce, or rather create in some high Kardashev civilization a new universe based off of this information? So that's where my mind went. Wow, this is beautiful. It went to absolutely anything with Simon Pegg. Highly recommend this film if you haven't seen it. It's wonderful. It actually explores this birdathon quite beautifully. And then my mind immediately went into what happens next with the information that's then collected. So that's where my head's at, buddy.
Dude, that's so interesting. Yeah, because I mean, have you ever heard, and Jake, you would probably know this, but have you ever heard of the concept of storing information within DNA?
Oh yeah. They're actually called codes. I believe there's several coursework in literature now about how to embed different codices within double helix strands, which has also been tested and measured as well. I'm actually writing a similar book on that, but rather than DNA, it's time. And we can encode time with entropic forces. But yes, I'm familiar with the concept. Have I ever done this? No, that's super complex.
So crazy. Like it feels like if you had live documentation of all things always at any given moment in Earth's timeline, in our timeline, that maybe one way to store all of that footage would be on the DNA level, or some probably much more highly advanced level. But then also, yeah, you're right. Like, what do you do with it? Do you create a new universe and kind of mix up the factors that create that universe, or do you scatter things around to make the context of what people are actually navigating through on that planet different? And then do you observe that? Like, is it just a trial and error show? Like, what really is it? Like that's the interesting part. Like, even if you have all the information, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with it? Is it just a movie? Is it just entertainment? So many of the things that our species does is for the sole purpose of entertainment. So many, and I think that that's an interesting thing to think about. Like if a higher dimensional civilization was really just humans in the future, are we still, is our mindset still in a place of, well, we just want some good quality entertainment? And I agree with Rain. I think whatever the movie is or could be or will be would 100% be a comedy. Because I think that, so many people mentioned The Truman Show today, amazing movie, and I just think that movie gets a lot of people thinking about what this all is, like the big kind of show of what we're going through on Earth. And I think that, a comedy feels like the only thing to kind of, help people connect to it. Like comedy in general, stand-up comedy, even like, skit-based comedy like Monty Python and SNL and Key and Peele. I know like a lot of people in here like Key and Peele. Like they tend to break down your ego a little bit and allow you to connect with things a little bit more easily and kind of connect with concepts that you're familiar with. And I just know that like comedy is a really good gateway into like your heart. I think that it really does allow us to access ourselves. And I think that, you have to kind of just check the ego when it comes to just laughing at the things that make you human. So I think that it would 100% have to be some sort of a comedy or have comedy woven into it somehow. And it's kind of the way that back to the microcosm level of what we're making. Ebert, has some comedic elements to it too. It can't all just be serious all the time. Can't just be like this doom and gloom thing. It's got to be filled with light, love, laughter, and absolute lunacy and chaos. And I think that, like, really in a nutshell, that's what we're going through here. It's all just fucking chaos at the end of the day. But I think that, over time, we get a handle on it. We figure it out. We start to navigate it. We come together as a community. We band together and we get through it. And that's really, that's the movie. That feels like the movie. That's at least the plot to the movie that I'm living in. And I think that everyone's plot is a little bit different. And I think that that's the beauty of all of this. So with that being said, we got a few minutes left in Space in the Deep. I wanted to announce our winner. Space in the Deep, episode 24. Our Birdathon winner for the day is the one and only Strive. Strive G. His film was called Beautiful Arrivals, Despicable Inhabitants. The tagline was, quote, billions of years in the making, billions of stars, one planet, endless plot twists. He broke this into 5 seasons and then also like ended with a cliffhanger as well. My favorite season was season 3, When Humans Arrive. We're smart, messy, overly dramatic. The aliens are watching it, arguing over whether it's high art or total trash. That one got me. I thought that was absolutely hilarious. And then he also gave us a cast. I thought that the cast and crew was like the cherry on top. It was unbelievable. He said the Egyptian Empire, the Akkadian Empire, the Futajalan Empire, I can't even pronounce that one. Romans, Greeks, the US, the Soviet Union, ancient Chinese civilizations, children, adults, teenagers, fathers, soldiers, teachers, engineers, scientists, and animals. So well done, Strive. You won the $44 Birdathon, the weekly challenge of all challenges. Hit me up in the DMs. Congratulations. Your writing is always so well thought out and thorough, and I know it's coming from your brain. So I appreciate you. I appreciate the thought you put into the Birdathon this week, and congrats. We'll get you some Ebert today. And thanks again also for tuning into Space in the Deep. Space in the Deep. I've seen you in here since the beginning. So really, really good submission. I'm trying to find it now and pin it in the Telegram group. But yeah, Jake, I know that we got to maybe extend one of these for we got to extend one of these so you can get a submission in.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we got to extend this to like a noon or 1 p.m. thing for me. Here I am busting my butt with firewood in the morning. But the weather's warming up. It's warming up.
Let Jake cook.
You got to cook. You've given me like some really good films to watch. You've been, my friend, you've been on fire. You really, no pun intended, because I know you're stacking fire every day, but it just, I think that your submissions take on a completely different meaning. I pinned one of those things that you mentioned because we were talking about.
I love that. That was so cool. Thanks for doing that, buddy.
Right? The hot take, 5D, 7D, 9D, infinite D, they're all you. You are all the dimensions, aware of your own incarnate living inside of a life. One simply traverses dimensions by way of alignment, away and or towards love, interchangeable here with hope and probably many more feelings invoking benevolent wonder. Move closer to love for yourself and others, raise your dimensional placement in this world. And he said, that's the shortest article I've ever authored. And it was a really, really freaking good one at that. But it was in kind of response to that thing I sent you about the shift, it's like what people are talking about, like this shift that's starting to happen. And I mean, you had just a really interesting response to that, I thought.
Thanks, man. Yeah. Traversing this world and studying it and looking at it, which we all do, everyone is so uniquely positioned to study this. And I'm grateful it may have impacted someone's life because it's so easy to get swept under the tide. And Rain, you have an experience, right? I remember the story you shared, when you were out in the woods and you had an acquaintance of this, in a way, this cultish circle, right? It was hyper spiritual.
That
Most
story
likely
was crazy.
crazy shit, right? And probably some mental health issues involved there, which it can easily do that because our psyches are incredibly fragile. Especially when looking at this and studying it and getting swept under the tide. And then we want to speak like a Sith does in absolutes, right? We want to say, this is my way and this is the only way towards truth. And if you don't follow this, then you're off the path, right? The enlightened path. And I see so much of that, especially on X, and I would say in probably almost all spiritual communities operate, a similar ethos. But you have it in you. You're the infinite dimensions, and you make it what you want. So this is your story. This is your journey. You are living in abundance of life inside of what we would call the life. That's you, right? So, and you can insert whatever words you want. It may not be necessarily love for you. It could be hope. What does wonder mean? What does curiosity mean? That's why I always encourage curiosity, because it unlocks something inside of us that we have yet to observe across all elements of being in the universe. We are the only organism that we know of that are ever curious, and can study the curiosity itself, right? We see curiosity in animals, but of course we do, but we have that. So thanks for highlighting it, Ebert. I appreciate it, brother. It was really wonderful to make that. And, I guess the final thing, because I know we're winding down Space from the Deep, and big congrats, Strive, on the submission. I did read it, by the way. I love reading the submissions when I get up in the morning. So I do read them. Is my mind went right into the ending scene of Men in Black when these aliens are playing marbles.
Oh, shit.
That's where it went. They're playing marbles as we observe chaos in the universe. And chaos creates beauty. It also creates what we can determine as an imaginary number. I'm not going to say infinite because we don't know, but imaginary number of life. It's uncountable. It's unknowable. They're playing dice. They're playing marbles. They're slamming them together. They're putting them over here at the edge of the abyss or the center next to a black hole. And they're like, I just see what this does for the next millions and billions and trillions of years. Who knows what'll happen? But this is a way where certainty can never be guaranteed. And the more certainty can never be guaranteed, it becomes more unpredictable, more unstable. It very well could mean the abundance of life flourishes. Think about that one. So that's where my mind went with Ebert. The ending scene of Men in Black playing. That could have been Ebert's hand for all we know.
True.
Yeah.
Very true.
These like seeds that some of these movies plant, and like they do stick with you, even if you don't remember exactly what the movie was. But some of these concepts, we talked about this last week too. Some of these concepts just stick. And, I think the reason that they stick is because they do carry an air of truth. And the last clip that we just put on YouTube is about that truth. And everyone has their own truth. Like you have to be careful of people who speak in absolutes. Jake, you're 100% right.
True.
And, these people who are there are people out there who are claiming that they're channeling, for example, from extraterrestrials. They're channeling from extraterrestrial civilizations. And we're just supposed to believe them and just kind of take them at face value and say, well, I guess that they're special and we're not, and I think that there's this air. I'm not saying that they're narcissistic, but at the same time, it's like, well, why do you get to do that and I don't? I meditate, I do all these things. I go out into the woods and I talk to the sky, and I'm not channeling. I think that what you're really channeling is just a higher dimensional version of yourself. At the end of the day, it's up to you. It's up to you. It's not up to anybody else to tell you what to believe. It really is your own decision. It's your own world. It's the movie is your movie. And that's really the answer. Like, it's just, it's their movie, but it's our movie and it's your movie on a personal level. So Jake, really well said. I think that, as we kind of wind this episode down, just putting that emphasis out there that like, it really is everything, that you are everything. And, movies are a really good way of kind of putting things into perspective. Now, the marbles and Men in Black, it's perfect. It's just like, hey, by the way, you're small. Yeah. But you're also really big at the same time. You're the biggest version of yourself, and you expand far past where you ever think that you're able to expand. Like, don't just take things at face value. Definitely just discover it and kind of observe it and search through it on your own. And definitely kind of walk right into that, and don't allow people to tell you, like that crazy, like the crazy cult leader that was trying to tell Rain to like smoke a joint in the middle of a crazy circle of people, and that wherever that was, like that, like he didn't need to do that to kind of like believe what he believes for him is true. Like that's you don't need it. So yeah, really, really well said. I have nothing else to add other than that. But Rain, anything else to cap it off? Last audio episode.
I got two really quick things. So the first, I'm going to keep them short. Guys. So the first one is, remember how we were talking about, I don't know if it was Last Space of Deep, but like I haven't seen a good horror movie in ages. Literally, we were talking all about it. I'm like, there's nothing original, or people are trying to do too much, yada, yada, yada. I saw a horror film in the theater last Saturday. And I absolutely fucking loved it. And the reason I loved it was because it wasn't a horror film. Like, technically it's a horror film, but it was based off of, it's a comedy. It's listed as a comedy, but like people are dying and being killed. All right. Like, it's gory, there's blood and shit. It's called Hell of a Summer. It's definitely a movie you only watch once. I'll just say that. But it was fucking hilarious. It was absolutely fucking hilarious. It kind of takes a spin on, Jason with like Camp Crystal Lake, right? There's a guy and he's running around killing everybody at the camp. Da 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 da. Well, so this movie, it's like only camp counselors. They all have super unique, traits to them and how they operate, etc., and great personalities. And it's fucking hilarious. 10 out of 10 recommend. Go watch it. Super fucking funny. I loved it. And then the second one was, I might get judged here. Okay. So, but you'll see where I'm going with this. So I have never seen the movie Hacksaw Ridge, and which is crazy to me. I know, but I was in a Mediterranean restaurant getting a gyro or a gyro, however the fuck you want to call it. And they had this massive TV in there. Like, this is like some like New York style, like kind of, just like little shitty shop. All right. Like, very low expectations for this thing. And I get in there and Hacksaw Ridge is on this TV. Now, I don't know it's Hacksaw Ridge, but I am so fucking captivated by the beginning of this film that my wife's talking to me and I'm just not listening to an absolute fucking word she's saying. Like, I'm eating as slow as possible. I watch like 15 minutes. And, I can eat my gyro in probably 2, just to put that in perspective. And I didn't know what the movie was. And so I was like, fuck, dude. I was like, dude, I got to watch this movie. I got to figure out what it was. And so here it comes. Use case idea. Can't believe it has not been fucking done, but just put it out there. Probably cannot be that hard to do. But so I pulled out ChatGPT on my phone, and all I did was take a picture of the TV of the movie playing and say, all I said was, hey, here's a picture of this movie that's on here. I have no idea what it is. The only scene that I've seen so far is like a guy was in war. Now it's like him and his brother and their kids. And it literally in seconds, it told me the name of the movie. It told me the name of the fucking movie and gave me all details about the movie, gave me the release date of the movie, gave me the actors in the movie, gave me the director of the movie and all that shit. And, I was kind of thinking, I was like, yo, like, if fucking, what if we had an Ebert app? That's all I'm going to say. What if we had an Ebert app? I'll leave it at that. What if we had an Ebert app to where you take a picture of a movie, almost like Shazam, right? This is why I can't believe it has not been fucking done, and it shows you a movie. It tells you what the movie is that's on. So yeah, those are my two things. But I thought that was really fucking cool. And knowing that I could use ChatGPT for that got me really excited, because I could not figure out for the life of me what this movie was. So yeah, those are my two things. Hell of a Summer. if you want a great horror film that's actually a comedy, check it out. And use ChatGPT on your phone if you're ever watching a movie or see a movie on that looks interesting that you don't know what it is. 10 out of 10 recommend. That's my spiel.
Bro, Mel Gibson movies some of them hit. Some of the Apocalypto hit. He's got like these really good kind of dives into history that, Hacksaw Ridge was definitely one of those. I loved it. And it was I think a movie that's up there on MJ's list as well, because he loves Andrew Garfield. So really good drops. And it gets the gears turning about the Ebert movie app. Maybe it's like some sort of like Spotify recommended for you based on this decision type thing going there. That could be, that's an easy, you can just create a ChatGPT, bot for that. And okay, we can talk about it later. But I think all good suggestions. Both Rain and Jake have dropped many, many, many good movies and things to check out. Dr. Plants. I have that up on a couple tabs right here just to make sure that I don't forget. I'll be binging that later on today. But again, many thanks to both of you for being here. Many thanks to all of you in the audience. Strive Emerito. What's up, Emerito? For being here for the last audio episode of Space from the Deep, episode 24. Next week, episode 25 is going to be live streamed. Same time, same place. Nothing changes other than what you are seeing and how you're hearing us. So we look forward to that. Again, many thanks to all of you for participating in the Birdathon today. Congrats to Strive. Your answer was absolutely stellar. We appreciate you very much. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good weekend. Go touch some earth as always, and we will see you next week. Take it easy, everybody.